Are you new to Fort's High Seas DLC? Are you trying to figure out how airplanes work? Well, stay tuned. We'll break it down. Welcome, Forts fans from around the world. My name is Synergy. You are watching Synergy Gaming TV, and today we are going to be talking about airplanes. Everything to do with airplanes, the runway for the airplanes, how to fire the airplanes, how to build the airplanes, and how to make the payload come out of the airplanes. So, here we are in some sandbox mode in one of the new maps in the DLC. I forgot to look at the map name, but it's the only 1v1 map there is. We're going to get rid of this hard point. Now, normally I would show you guys this in super fast building mode, but there's a few things that I want to kind of show over, and through the magic of editing, we can just cut out all the building speeds, something kind of cool. Now, in most cases, you would never build a runway like this, but we're going to show you the first steps to getting everything you need to make airplanes. First off, weapons. We're going to look at the runway here. It says runway launches Thunderbolt and Nighthawk bomber ammunition, requires a workshop. So what does that mean? We're going to build a workshop right there. There's our workshop. Ta-da! And in the meantime, while that's building, we're going to get a little bit more economy happening down here. Get a couple of those. Get rid of this. We're going to put a stack here. And like this, and like this, just to kind of give you guys a bit of a basic idea of how you kind of want to start your build a little bit. We'll get another one of those down here, and then we're just going to wait for our runway to finish. Okay, now that the workshop is finished, we can take a look at building a runway. Now you can see here, 500 metal, 4,000 energy. Because we were off camera magically, we have those resources ready to rock and roll. Now you can look here when I'm going to place it down. You see how it turns this into a door. Now normally you'd also want to build it like down, hidden out of the way, but for the sake of this video, we're going to build it up here. You see how it turns it into a door? Hit your control key, and it will turn the door away. Turn the door away, turn the door off, not make the door, I think is what I'm trying to say. And we're going to place that down. Now look at this cool thing. No ammo. We don't have any ammo. That's because the runway uses the brand new ammo system. And we're going to take a look at that here. So down here you can see a little ammo tab. You can hit this button or hit B for ammo. And we can see here the Thunderbolt ammunition drops multiple bombs at predetermined point. Requires the munitions plant. Or we can look at the Nighthawk ammunition. Drops high penetration incendiary paveway bomb, requires the factory. So this is the point in the match that you need to decide what type of weaponry you're going to be using. So if you go the munitions route, you're going to have access to the A10 Thunderbolt, as well as your deck guns through your hardpoint and your cannons, 20 mils and howitzers, etc, etc, etc. If you decide to go the factory route, you're going to have access to the Nighthawk ammunition, of course your orbital laser beam, the Death Star ray of awesomeness, as well as the rest of the lasers, fire beam, plasma, and magna beam. So now that our runway is finished, we're going to make the decision of what technology we want to go. It's going to be munitions plant. Now, you can build this obviously at any point, so naturally in your regular build order, you're going to do a workshop. You're not going to build your runway. You're going to wait and get this technology down, whether it's going to be the munitions plant and the factory, and then you're going to build your runway, because the runway is useless without ammo, and you can't build ammo without your tier 2 tech. So now that our tier 2 technology is finished, we need to build the airplanes. Under the ammo tab, we're going to click on the Thunderbolt A10 ammunition of awesome, and you actually need to place down the ammo. You'll also see when placing down the A10 Thunderbolt ammo that it has a 27-second build time. Keep this in mind when we start talking about the Nighthawk ammo. Now we're going to build a few of these because we have the resources. Now you're going to see here that only one ammo builds at a time. This is for all ammos under the ammo tree. Only one builds at a time. Now, while this seems very stupid, I can promise you it is very good for balance, because if you're going to get bombarded consistently by airplanes, you are not going to be a happy Forts player. So one ammo builds at a time. The Thunderbolt ammunition is 100 metal and 2,000 energy. These are the cheaper of the two. We'll talk about the Nighthawk in just a little bit. We're going to get a few more of these built, and then we're going to show you how to launch them. Okay, so now we're going to fire our airplanes from our runway. But first of all, we're going to talk a little bit about the aiming reticle. Now, if you've ever used a flat cannon before, you can see how there's this arc that moves when I move through this. This means that I can detonate my flak above where that point is. So you see how you got it to explode there? But if I pull the aiming arc all the way, you'll see that the flak doesn't detonate. This is exactly the same mechanic for the airplanes. This is typically where the new players are struggling and they can't figure out how to drop the payload. So when I click on my airport, you're gonna see the same aiming arc. So you have altitude, which is up and down, and then you have where your payload gets dropped, which is left and right. So we can decide anywhere along here where to launch the airplane. Now, there's some things that you need to consider before you fire this, like momentum, inertia, and the altitude of which your airplane is flying and how the payload is going to eject out of the plane. So if we look here, we're going to try and release the payload before the airplane, and we're going to go right about in the middle. And that's where it lands. If all we do is change the altitude and go up, you'll see that it hits further on the boat. There we go. Now, many of the new players, when they're trying to figure out why they can't seem to fire their airplanes, one of it is they're trying to kamikaze their airplane. Look at the warning there. Look at the warning it gives me. It means, no, it's not gonna work. And this is what happens. It just flies away. Flies away. Okay, so there is a way to get your airplane to kamikaze, but you kind of more have to sabotage it than anything. If you hit your airplane with a fire beam, it will kamikaze. It's not that easy to do, and we're going to try and do it on this very small map. We'll see what I can do. If I do that and then hit it with a fire beam, boom! It crash lands just like that. So you can, in theory, get them to kamikaze, but you have to kind of more like sabotage them. And they do a lot less damage than their payload, to be blatantly honest. So really not that worth it, but... Okay, now that we've talked about the A-10 Thunderbolt ammo, we've talked about momentum, inertia, and altitude, we've talked about how to release the payload, when to release the payload, and the factors that influence where the payload hits, let's talk about the Nighthawk ammo. Now, this is where the game gets pretty cool. If we go under the ammo tab and we take a look at the Nighthawk ammunition, drops high penetration incendiary paveway bomb, requires the factory. So while we were under super high speed building, it didn't show me the accurate build speed. It showed 2 seconds, which is clearly not the truth. So when we go to place down one of these Nighthawk ammunitions, you're going to see here that it costs 150 metal, 6,000 energy, and it takes 90 seconds. That is a ridiculously long time for an airplane. So it must be really good, right? Well, you can see with the 6,000 energy, we need a lot of batteries to kind of make sure that we can continuously place these down. Again, only one ammo builds at a time. This is one of those things you want to place on the back burner and get a couple of these building up while you're doing something else because of how expensive they are and how long they take to build. So what do you say we just quit our yammering and fire the damn things already? So these are the Nighthawks. They take forever to build, but man, are they sweet. Now, I still haven't got my aim down to perfection. These do fire differently than the A-10s, or at least it feels like they do. So keep that in mind if you use the A-10s a lot and then you move into the Nighthawks, you're going to have to figure out your aiming a bit there. Let's try right here and see what happens. Oh, right on the money. But we don't want that. I don't want it to end. Okay, let's try that again without ruining everything. Let's get it to drop way earlier this time. You guys can see the damage that these things do. Okay, you guys know that every time that happens, I have to rebuild this boat, right? It's super annoying. Okay, I want this to land nowhere near the core, so we're gonna do this. Okay, that was close to the core, but you can see, oh, you go out fire. You can see how much damage these things do. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy, to be really honest. Let's try this one more time. Let's see if I can get this even shorter. Let's go here. Is this gonna work? Yeah. Right. You see all that? Like, look at it. Look at it. That's it. I'm not recording it again. Look, lots of damage. They're crazy. Moving on. So the final thing to talk about is essentially how do you deal with someone going planes or spamming planes or lots of planes? Well, finally, in forts, flak is actually more useful than it was before. Now, we knew that flak was pretty good for taking out swarms and basically a necessity against a C player. Now, flak is actually really good. Not only does it take down airplanes, it deals with the deck guns really well as well. So flaks actually have a very, very viable place now in the meta. So flaks do really, really well at taking out the airplanes. We're just going to kamikaze this guy so we don't wreck our base. But if we fire it here, you'll see that nothing happens. Okay, rip. I forgot that there is no AI to shoot down the planes, so we're just going to talk about it and use some pictures. So the flak cannons are really good at taking out the airplanes and their payloads, while gunners are pretty good at just taking out the payloads. You need a lot of gunners to take out an airplane. Same thing with deck guns. You need a lot of gunners to take those out. But the flaks do a really good job of taking out both of those, both the A-10 and the Nighthawk as well. So flak is going to be your big answer to dealing with those, but you can also use the energy dome. The energy dome doesn't do anything with the plane, but it does predict where the projectiles or where the payload is going to land, and then will activate itself and protect your base. So there you have it, you guys. Those are the tips and tricks on how airplanes work in Fort's High Seas. Make sure, if you guys want to learn more about this game and see more awesome DLC content, subscribe, like, and comment down below. I answer all my comments, by the way. If you guys want to talk to me, you can use the comment section or join the Discord. Link is also down below in the description. Guys, thank you so much for watching Synergy Gaming TV. My name is Synergy, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side.